Judge. The Commissioners Court serves as both the legislative and executive branches of county government and has budgetary authority over all county departments, including those headed by other elected officials. The county judge presides over the Commissioners Court. And our three candidates are Mayor Sara Countryman, Judge Keough, and Billy Graff. Can you double check? Sara, you're first. I thought you were, but I wasn't sure. What infrastructure improvements do you foresee? Opening statement. Thank you for keeping me honest.
Thank you, Montgomery County Republican Women. My name is Sara Countryman, and I'm a two-time mayor of the city of Montgomery. I'm in my 4th year. I've been through 4 budget processes, and we have been successful in Montgomery. I've got a long list of accomplishments. One of my most proud accomplishments is our comprehensive plan. When I became mayor, there was no vision, there was no plan, there was no destination. It took 3 years of constant pushing and 5 town halls for us to get a plan and a vision for our downtown as our crown jewel. And we're beginning the first phase of that plan this quarter. That plan is a 3-year, 5-year, 10, 15, and 20-year evergreen plan. It gives us the framework of what our downtown and our city will look like. Second, I was able to secure the birthplace of the Texas flag trademark. Very proud of that. It's never been done in the history of Montgomery, clearly. Also, anytime anyone opens a water account, they get a Lone Star flag. We have people coming from out of state that this is their first flag as a welcome. I'm excited about those opportunities, and I've got more accomplishments. Judge Keough.
As you mentioned, I am your county judge. You know, when I first was considering running for this position, you know, the thing that makes me the most angry about politics is people do not do what they say they're going to do. They run on promises that they don't keep. So you know what I did? I came up with a contract with Montgomery County based upon what people told us. Based upon what people told us, I'm sorry, that they thought was important, whether it had to do with employees' pay, whether it had to do with taxes, whether, you know, it had to do with a whole variety of things. So I wrote those down and went in knowing exactly what I was going to do. So I made some promises. I promised I'd cut my pay by 12%. Haven't had a raise since the last 3 budget cycles. I cut it 12% and it's been the same ever since. I said I would come in and I would take the tolls and work with our commissioners to get the charging us on 242 for a toll that was already paid for. And you know what? In May of 2019 we got it done, and a whole lot more. Promises made, promises kept in office. Thank you very much. I'm Mark Keough.
Mr. Graff.
Well, it's absolutely an honor and a privilege to be here tonight. The most important part about tonight is not me or any other candidate. The most important part about tonight is you, because you're the voter. You're the one that gives us direction. You're the one that holds us accountable. I hope you'll hold us accountable. I'm counting on you holding us accountable, because when you hold your elected officials accountable, they begin to do what they're supposed to do. And so thank you for being here. My name is Billy Graff, and I'm running for county judge. I'm running for county judge because I'm disillusioned by many of the things that are happening in our court system right now. I'm disillusioned with some of the disparities that we have in the area of fiscal responsibility and fiscal transparency. I'm concerned about our future. I'm concerned about our debt loads. I'm concerned about the way our interdepartments do not always speak well of each other and do not work well together. I'm looking forward to an opportunity to sit down and work with them on a daily basis. Thank you.
Okay, now my question, Erica. You start. What infrastructure improvements do you foresee in Montgomery County, and how would you balance those major infrastructure improvements, and how would you balance those improvements while maintaining a fiscally conservative budget?
Great question. So infrastructure, because we are a growing county, growing by leaps and bounds, our infrastructure is overtaxed right now. And what we need to do is get ahead of the movement coming here. Let's apply for grants. Let's strengthen our relationships with HGAC and with TxDOT. Let's put together a mobility plan that not only serves today, but also that future growth, that 5, 10, 20 years down the road. I think everybody in this county gets a seat at the table. Leadership gets a seat at the table and to tell us where your bottlenecks are. What are you experiencing? East County floods. Let's talk about the infrastructure there that's needed to ensure that the water west doesn't flood our friends over in the east. So applying for grants, building stronger relationships, hearing the people, and having a plan that's in the future and just not a Band-Aid for today. That's what I would do to improve our infrastructure in the future.
Okay, Judge Keough.
Thank you. We're already doing this, people.
Hold it up, Mark, because
We are already doing this. Do not break up this court. We are on our way to accomplishing great things. You know, we just passed a mobility study for transportation. We just passed it. That was one of the things I promised when I came into this office. I said, we don't need a spaghetti drawing and a thoroughfare plan. What we need is an actual plan. So you know what? We went out, we did the study, we went out, we had stakeholder meetings, we had meetings with the community, and we came up with real live process for our transportation and where we're going to be headed with that as we work through this year. We don't want to break that up in the middle of it. You don't want to start that all over. It takes years to develop. And we did it, just like we said we were going to do. When it comes to the physical plant, we just did a study with Keough, a company that has gone and laid out a series of plans for us on how we would go about doing this. And where we need courthouse, we need more jail space. These various things that we know are going to be infrastructure issues that we're going to have to do as we grow. But I will tell you, what we have found, and especially as we have kept the effective tax rate, we have residual monies that still come in, and as we are growing in unbelievable ways, that is feeding that so that we don't have to keep taxing people and taxing them out of their homes. That's why it's so important to keep the effective tax rate. As your appraisals go up, your rate should come down so you don't pay more than what you paid last year. Now that's on an average. Some people's taxes have even gone down, while at the same time our cash reserves continue to grow because of the amount of people that are moving here, and that's how it's going to build it. That's the way it's supposed to build. And it's doing it right now. So my appeal to y'all is keep things the way they are. We have accomplished so many good things, and to break it up now because somebody says, well, you know, I want to do this or I want to do that. That's not good enough. You got to look at what has been done.
Mr. Gray.
Well, obviously, I'm running because I have some different thoughts and some different opinions. I think now's the best time to break this team up, to be honest with you. I think it's time that we found some newer, fresher ways to partner with federal and state agencies. For 13 years, I've spent my life working in disaster areas around the state of Texas. I've worked in over 9 counties over the last 13 years. I've provided homes to over 500 people because I wanted to make sure that their lives were filled with hope. Ladies and gentlemen, obviously, our infrastructure is in great need. Our roads we're behind on roads. That's why we get stuck in so many places all the time. I'm glad we do have a mobility study. That's fantastic. We just need to make that actually turn into a project or two. Then we need to find out how we're going to fund this thing. We need to have a new vision on how. These guys have had all these years. They've had all these years to get this done. They haven't gotten it done yet. It's time to put some new people in there with vision and passion and a work ethic that is unlike one that we've ever had in this county before. I believe that we should work for hours and hours if that's what it takes to get it done for you, because you deserve that. We talk a lot. We talk about this plan and that plan. I'm tired of talking about plans. I'm actually wanting to see some dirt moved, some money raised, some partnerships put together, and I want to see some concrete poured before it's too late. Because right now, we continue to get bogged down. I live right down in Conroe, and it took me 30 minutes to get here. That's ridiculous. We need to do something now, and we need to quit talking about it. And there's a lot of talking going on. There's just not a lot of action going on. And I will commit to you right now to spend every waking hour that I can to get this project done, as many projects as we can, and we will save money. We'll find ways to partner with state, federal, because that's what I do. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, Mayor Countryman.
So if there's a mobility plan in place for the county, I just wanted to let you know, as the mayor of the city of Montgomery for 4 years, I just heard that stakeholders were asked to go to the table. I never received any invitation to sit at the table and talk about the hyper growth that's happening in Montgomery. Montgomery is split, we're unique between 2 commissioners. I've got great relationships with both of those commissioners. But again, I have no idea what the mobility study is in and around my city as the mayor the last 4 years. I've had to call the commissioners and say, help us. Help me with 15,000 cars going through a 4-way stop. People are waiting 35 minutes to get through this intersection. Commissioner Walker, he's helping us. We're going to do a roundabout there. I'm very excited about that. I called Commissioner Riley, said, please come to our office. We need to talk about mobility. There's got to be an east and west mobility study done. That we don't have to go up, our people don't have to go up to 105 and come back down. And we identified land together that we can go and look at mobility study and actually get work done. So I appreciate the relationships with them, but again, on a county level, I was never asked to the table. I was never one of those stakeholders to have that mobility plan.
Okay. Specific financial and personnel management experience in the private sector qualifies you to perform those duties. That's for Mark.
I was in the automobile industry for 27 years. I've been the general manager of high volume stores. I'm talking 4,500 new vehicles planning volume per year, 2,400 planning volume with over 200 employees operating 6 businesses under the same roof. I did that with Ford, and I did it as I worked with Lexus. I was with Lexus 14 years, had a great experience there. And so just from a purely financial perspective, I mean, it was awesome, and it would really help me. It gave me a lot of preparation here. Now, I will tell you this, for intellectually honest, government accounting is crazy. It sounds like a financial statement that you look at of your own personal business. There's so much involved with it. But the other side of that is, you know, we have a budget officer, and our budget officer is outstanding. And my position in this whole deal was, this is where we want to be, this is the taxes that you're going to have to work with, and don't even think about bringing a budget to me as your county judge unless it is the effective tax rate or the new revenue rate. And that's what they did. So just from that perspective, we also have a county auditor. The auditor looks over these things. We've passed all of our audits. We've passed all of our audits having to do with federal money, having to do with our regular tax money. I have to tell you, we've kept a AAA rating, they tell us, and as they look at our cash reserves and how we've operated, it's pretty unbelievable. And I just want to encourage you that that is the function of what the Commissioner Court, together, all of us have put together in this court. We have found places in agreement where we can work together. We don't always do everything right, okay? But you know, we work very hard at it, and we keep each other accountable. And I have to tell you, my time in the private industry doing the financial stuff that I've done, it was awesome. I was also a dealer principal of a major Ford store, which is now Planet Ford. That means I was a partner in that store. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Graff.
Well, many people would think that I have no experience because I pastored for 25 years. But I want you to know that before I was a pastor, I was actually a land developer. We generated millions of dollars, created roads, and understand infrastructure probably better than anyone sitting at this table because I actually did it. I've actually surveyed streets. I've actually dug water lines. I managed all of those projects. Not only that, I've managed multiple churches in my lifetime. All the money, I was the fiscally responsible person. I was the fiduciary for all those dollars, and I was responsible to the IRS. Also, I also was the manager, a regional manager of 9 hospice offices before I moved up here. I managed manpower in 9 locations throughout Houston area and Montgomery. I was responsible for all the fiduciary responsibilities, training, and everything that goes along with that financially. And then I opened up a nonprofit called iConnect Outreach, where I went out and raised millions and millions of dollars over the last 13 years to provide assistance to over 500 families, reached out to over 1,000 individuals throughout the last few years, and we've provided thousands and thousands and millions of dollars of service, I've had to be responsible and accountable to the federal government, to the state government, and to local government. And ladies and gentlemen, I promise you that the budget that we have here, I understand how to read that stuff. I understand what these numbers mean. That's the job of the CEO of the county, is to understand what those numbers mean, and not to confuse the public, but to communicate those numbers. I have managed all of these types of things in my lifetime, millions and millions of dollars, and I will continue to do it, working with the staff that we have at this county, but understanding the way it works and guaranteeing that we will find as much waste and get rid of it for you. Thank you.
Mayor Countryman.
You know, can I just say, a little rebuttal?
Yeah.
You know, I keep hearing about, and you keep hearing about, all this background and involvement with emergency management and helping and all these various things, all the money that's been handled. And I don't doubt that it's taken place. I'm sure that my opponent has the ability to do that and has done it. My question is during Harvey and all these other things that have recently come up, how come you're going to other counties to help and you're not helping here in Montgomery County? And you're running for the county judge? And you're going to say, well, it's because you didn't return phone calls? Are you kidding me? What kind of leadership is that? That's what you're going to hear, and that's what we've been hearing. So, you know, in my judgment, I poured my life into House District 15. Steve and Cecil, they'll tell you, for 2 sessions, for the 84th and the 85th session. I worked for $600 a month to do that. I went from way middle comfortable 6 figures when I left to go do the church. And then I stopped, and I went ahead and worked for $600 a month for 2 years, just like those guys did. And here we are right now. We're listening to this, and it wasn't even serving the county.
Okay. Mayor, Mr. Graff? Yes, you have a right.
Thank you very much. Wow, that's amazing, guys. He begs people to call, and then when you call, he doesn't respond, and when he doesn't respond, it's my
No,
fault.
he has a right to
Okay.
respond to this act.
He said, I didn't call. I have called. Okay? I have called. When Hurricane Harvey, when Hurricane Harvey hit, ladies and gentlemen, the first thing I did, day 2, after we had opened up our opportunities for people to get help, I called Judge Keough's office, left a message. I called Mr. Nowak's office, left a message. Called Mr. Metter, left a message, no response. I sent an email to Judge Keough, no response. I sent an email to Commissioner Metter, no response. I sent another email to Mr. Nowak, no response. I had 5 other county judges call me and ask me to come help them. Guess what? I went and helped those who were asking for my help. I did find a way to help this county anyway. I partnered with a couple of churches in the Magnolia area. And yeah, I was here for you guys, but you have to allow me to work. Thank you.
Okay. Mayor Countryman, your question, your experience of the
Please
process.
restate the question.
The question was, the Commissioners Court oversees the development, approval, and implementation of the county's budget and supervision of the county's employees. What financial and personal management experience in the private sector qualifies you to perform these duties?
So I'm in the IT industry. I've been in here for almost approaching 20 years. I came to Houston, that got me to this territory to build an office for the company that I was working for. I've hired sales reps. I've hired engineers. I've worked for startups where you hired sales reps. You brought on partners. In IT, you have partners that you work with. I brought on 15 partners with one of the companies. How do you be successful in private? Is break down the silos and the barriers and have a collaboration. Success in business is everybody pulling together and pulling that wagon in one direction, and not everybody on their own island worried about themselves and doing all the backbiting. It is truly on the same page and moving in the same direction. The city of Montgomery, when I became mayor, did not have a good relationship with Montgomery ISD. Today, it is one of the strongest partnerships I'm so proud of. That is breaking down silos, and that's being a leader. Coming to the table and let's talk, and how can we work together? In private sector, I've managed multi-million-dollar books of business that I've built organically from scratch, and I'm very proud of that. I've also helped customers manage their IT budgets. How do they renew their software and hardware lifecycle management? So in the private sector, I've learned management and I've learned cohesion and collaboration, and that's what this county is looking for and needs. I've met with two leaders yesterday who said, please don't say my name, but yeah, I don't know what the other people are doing. We don't have a leadership, and culture comes from the top down. And if the culture isn't there, the culture is siloed, that's how all of the departments will act and interact, or not interact. And so breaking those down and bringing stakeholders to the table and everybody taking part and buying in, that is what leadership is, and that's how you become successful in moving in the direction that we need to go.
Thank you, Sarah. There'll be a third question since there are 3 candidates, and Mr. Graff, you will be first. Other than roads, what are the 2 most important issues that will be facing Montgomery County during your term of office? Handle them.
Law enforcement, court system, water. Those are the 3 biggest problems that we're going to have. And we're going to have to get a handle on that. We're going to, as we grow, we're going to have to ensure that our court system is in the correct situation it needs to be in. We're running out of space. We have security problems at the courthouse right now. We need to understand that our law enforcement is going to have to increase dramatically as our criminality continues to increase. We're going to have to understand that water is going to become a big challenge for us because of the SJRA and many of the relation problems that we have with water. And so those are going to be 3 main issues that we're really going to have to handle well. But I do want to go. I want to
River Authority. Someone just asked what SJRA was.
Okay. But I want to go back for a second because I still have an extra minute. We talk about communication and phone calling, and I'm really getting kind of tired of people telling me from this area right up in here that I need to call them and I need to call them. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know, I'll give you another good example of this lack of communication from the current team that we have that is supposedly the best we've ever had. When Judge Keough decided to close down our county, my son put together a constitutional brief, and he wrote that down, and he first of all emailed everyone on the county court. No response. He hard copied and mailed a copy of his brief to every state representative, every commissioner, and the county judge. And to this day, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a year, he has yet to hear one response from anyone on the county court. We must treat our voters better than that. It's time for a change, and now is the time.
Okay. Mayor Countryman. Other than roads, the 2 most important issues facing Montgomery County, and how would you handle them?
I believe our budget is it's in crisis. We owe, so far, at least $40 million in a clawback. What got me interested in looking at the county judge position is how we handled the COVID pandemic, but never shut down the county. That put a lot of people at risk financially. It shut down churches. Some churches have not even opened back up, and people lost their jobs, and it shut down businesses. If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. If you want to be vaccinated, be vaccinated. But don't shut down the county. Don't put a curfew in place at 11:59 p.m. and instruct law enforcement to arrest people. A gentleman told me, I get home at 2 o'clock in the morning. I would have been arrested? Yes, sir, you would have. So in the COVID dollars, there were 12 counties that received CARES Act money. We were the only county that did not distribute those properly. And when I become county judge, I'm going to make sure those $55 per capita is extended out, because this has been absurd that we have to beg. Federal government told our county how to operate and how to distribute those dollars, and this is the only county judge that chose not to do so. I would never have allowed $7.1 million to go back in rental assistance, because I just didn't think that we had renters here in Montgomery County. There were over 3,300 evictions last year. We have renters here. Montgomery County needs silos broken down. It needs cohesion. The budget is huge that we need to get our arms wrapped around and see where there's duplicity. Our infrastructure is at max. We need to address that quickly. This place is awesome. I love this place, and we've got some of the best people. But we truly need to serve the people in a transparent and accountable manner. If you go and look at the Commissioner's Court agenda, it is not clear and concise. There's no supporting documents. Rarely do you understand what's happening in there and how your tax dollars are being spent.
Thank you for the truth.
Judge Keough, could you please give us, tell us what, other than roads, the two most important issues that you think will be facing Montgomery County during your term of office and how you will handle them?
Yes, I think the number one issue is that we stay on track and we don't get deviated by false narratives and things that absolutely aren't true. It's easy to sit here and take this in and think various things. That's okay. I'll answer any of those things that she said, not here, but I'll meet you over at my table right afterwards. I'm an open book and I'll explain all of that, whether it's COVID, whether it's distribution of funds, any of that stuff. As it relates to what's most important in terms of my agenda is that we keep the tax rate at the effective tax rate. We continue to grow in reserves from the amount of people who are moving in. And this will happen. That's a major priority as we do it. That's been the priority of the court. It continues to be the priority of the court. And it's a goal to keep our taxes down so that we don't price people out as these increased in our house values take place. Because that's what's taking place. We're soaring in our economy right now, plus the values of all these homes. So that's an essential issue. The second issue for me is getting beyond all this COVID nonsense. This is not over. We have walked through this. Yes, we closed the county down for a couple weeks, maybe a little more than a couple weeks. We did. We followed the science and we saw that the models were in an alternative universe from reality. We immediately opened up. By the way, as it relates to that, in my order, I went ahead and I did keep churches open and I did make Second Amendment issues open. And when I closed mine down, the governor's was in place anyway, and so he's the one that carried it. And if anybody was paying attention, they saw how I took on the governor of the state of Texas, not once, not twice, but 3 times to defend our rights as a county. It was unbelievable. And you know we did, and that's why I said we're at the Trump rally. We said we'll never have a vaccine or a mask mandate, and you know we closed for a while, but that was it.
Mr. Graff, same question. You started, okay. Then Mayor Countryman, you may give your 1 minute. Tell us why you'll be the best county judge.
I will be the best county judge for Montgomery County because 1, I'm transparent and honest. I will tell you the truth. You can take it to the bank. 2, I'm all about collaboration. I want to make sure everybody's on board and everybody's a team player. 3, law enforcement is extremely important to me. I want to be known as the county that's got that ironclad curtain that you come here as a bad actor, you will be prosecuted. I want to have our law enforcement be the benchmark, not just for the counties around us, but for the state. I will work hard for you. This will be my only job. I have a list of accomplishments in the city of Montgomery, and I have been a free mayor. I will be only your county judge, and that will be the only job I do, because I do believe the taxpayers deserve to be served 24/7, 365. I'll also, when there's emergencies arise, I will take the information that I have and also look at the information that's not presented. Look at it from a 360-degree view for all options, and not just have tunnel vision to serve 1% of the county. There's 622,000 residents in this county, and they all have a voice, and they all need to be served.
Judge Keough.
We do all have a voice. They all need to be served. That is absolutely true. But how do you feel about being in a conversation with somebody that's going to be a mayor or wants to be a county judge? All of a sudden you find out that it was tape recorded and it was given to a local news agency and put out all over the county. Is that transparency?
Yep.
Is that honesty? Is that integrity? Are you kidding? This needs to be addressed. She brought it up. This whole issue of transparency, I keep hearing it, that we are not transparent in our court, that we are hiding things and all the rest. That is absolutely a false narrative. Enough is enough. You know, it's this whole idea that somehow we have a flawed system when it is working so well together. I just encourage you, I'm passionate about this, that you keep this court together. Don't listen to these false narratives that we keep hearing. Stay together. That's what we need to do.
Well, I was really hoping that tonight was going to be a little bit different, and I wasn't going to get attacked all night. But apparently this was attack night, but that's okay, guys. It's all right. You know what? I've been attacked by some of the best in my lifetime. But I'm just glad we're here, and I really believe that you can just kind of see the attitude that we work with at the county court. And I think you can understand, I don't really need to explain, that it's time for a different kind of leadership. Someone with more of a servant's heart. Someone who is not quick to attack the others in the room. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's very important that going forward, you have leadership with vision and a heart of servanthood, not a political correctness. I wouldn't have shut you down. He just kind of blows it off like, well, you know, I had to. It was just a little while. No, it was unconstitutional. It was illegal. It was 17 days to be exact. 14 plus an extension. And so, I'm Billy Graff. I'd appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Okay. Next ones will be our, thank you, will be our